Alright, I'm not gonna waste time and beat around the bush and whatnot. I'm just gonna get straight into it. So, I don't think I've ever been somebody who's shied away from expressing my opinions on dating apps. I think I've always, been somebody who's been pretty against them for, I don't know, my general experiences as well as hearing the experiences of others to know that it typically is not a good experience or meaningful or useful of your time. It typically ends the same way. Um, you know, I don't think I've ever had any sort of success with dating apps, but I'm going to talk about my experience on a couple of them. Mostly just Tinder and Hinge. I've had Bumble in the past, but I nothing ever happened with Bumble, so I don't really have enough experience to say my actual opinions on it because I don't know. I feel like I've heard that Bumble is one of those apps that works better if you live in a bigger city. I've heard it's a pretty big thing outside of the U.S. So that being considered too, like I live in the U.S. I live in Maine, and it's like if you know Maine at all, and you know not just the southern parts of Maine, but further north, central Maine, which is more so where I'm located. Like, um, there's not a lot happening there. It's pretty. I don't want to say empty, but if you compare it to like most places in the world, I mean, you know, it's pretty dead. So let's just put it that way. So Bumble can't be considered here, but the two main players of our story are Tinder and Hinge. You know, the the lethal two, the deadly combination, the one-two punch, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. I'm yapping, but that's besides the point. So Tinder and Hinge, I've had a pretty good amount of experience with. You know, not as of recently, but it's been a little while. But regardless of how long it's been, neither experience has been great, and I want to get into both. So I'm going to start off with Tinder. I think Tinder was the first dating app I ever got. I downloaded it my freshman year of college. And that was because, we're in college now. We go to a pretty big school. I mean, our abundance of women has just multiplied by several thousands. So, I mean, like, who's to say, like, I wasn't going to have success, Like, I was fairly attractive at the time, I'd say. I mean, you know, I thought my chances were pretty good if you ask me. And I initially, going into college, I wasn't somebody who was like big on the idea of dating apps, but I wanted to give it a try, see what happened. One of my friends kind of pushed me to get it, and I remember we were sitting in his dorm, and both of us were single at the time. He no longer is, but we both talked about let's try dating apps. Let's try Tinder and Hinge and Bumble and see what happens. So we got all three at the time, and obviously Bumble, like I've just mentioned, wasn't really considered, but Tinder was definitely the big heavy hitter at first. You know, I at first got some matches. The first couple days I feel like you'll get a decent amount of matches and then it'll kind of slowly die off and then it won't be too great. But the thing I noticed with Tinder as opposed to Hinge is that your chances of a first date are like substantially smaller than they would be with Hinge. With Hinge, it's like you have a pretty alright chance of getting a first date. As a guy, especially. You know, from what I know, the experience of dating apps as a guy compared to a girl is stagnantly different. But, well, Tinder, it's like, I mean, Tinder is essentially hookup culture, right? That's all people really go on there to look for. It's just, like a one night stand, a quick little, you know, whatever you want it, whatever you want to call it. So, but that doesn't make it good necessarily. Especially for somebody like me who is looking for a long-term relationship. Tinder is probably the last place you want to go to for something like that, because you're not going to find it, you know, and the chances that you do are just so incredibly small that I can't even put a number on it. Like, it's that small. And I think I had I had Tinder a couple times, like 3 or 4 maybe, since that first time having it my freshman year of college. And I had a lot of matches between all of those times. Probably put together, actually, I really don't know what the number would be. Because, I mean, it's a lot, but it's not like, you know, not crazy. I think out of all of those, I got 3 first dates ever on Tinder. All of them sucked. All of them sucked. Actually, scratch that. One was great, but she ended up piecing out shortly after. So, you know, doesn't make it much better. But the other 2, really bad. Really bad. Just no connection. I was a completely different person than they were. And the energy just, it didn't align. And this is a common trend you're going to see with dating apps. And a big reason as to why I don't think they work. So, yeah. One of the 2 times that I went on the first date, or that I call as the bad first dates from Tinder, one of the 2. This was the first date I'd ever gotten off of Tinder. It was rough because it ended up just being me sleeping with some girl, and we didn't do anything, but like it wasn't great, you know. It kind of sucked. By kind, I mean really. Like I wanted to get out of there so badly. I wanted to leave in the middle of the night and just get in my car and go home. I did not, because my arm was stuck under her and I could not get it to move. Unfortunately, it was like trapped. I could not get it to move. I was stuck there all night. I got no sleep. I kind of just stared at the ceiling in her shitty dorm room, and I was miserable the whole time. I wanted to leave. And long story short, after that night, we never spoke again. So, you know, as it goes. My next success with Tinder would come a year later. And this was the good one. You know, this was the good first date that I had seriously thought, you know, this could go somewhere. This was a girl I knew of already. She went to high school with me. And we weren't really like close in high school. We weren't close at all. We didn't know each other at all. We just knew each other by name. And we clicked really well, but certain circumstances made it so that I never saw her again. I'm not going to dive into that because it's just not important and it's going to take up too much time. So, yeah, if you know, you know. And then the last date off Tinder, which was the most recent one, of course, that was, God, I don't know how long ago now. Probably like a year ago. Something along those lines. I can't remember. But pretty much over text, she seemed great. And then I met her in person, and she was just strange. And, like, I'm a weird person myself. I mean no judgment to this individual as well. That is not what I'm trying to go for here. But she was, like, a different kind of weird in a way that I couldn't get around to it. And it was just not my thing. So, again, we never spoke after that. And then that's when we get over to Hinge territory. Now, I've had quite a few first dates off of Hinge, and I think only one time I got multiple dates with a girl. And it was like 3. And then after that, it was wraps. That's how it goes. If I had to put a number on all the first dates I had gotten off of Hinge, it'd probably be like between 15 and 20. Somewhere in that realm. So pretty good. But that's a very small percentage compared to the amount of matches I got on there. The amount of matches I got was crazy. It was like triple digits. It was nuts. I don't even know how you get that kind of numbers for like a guy in Maine. And these were all women that I find very attractive to. Like, I feel like I personally have pretty high standards for dating and women in general, and I don't like going against those standards because I go for what I believe I'm worthy of, essentially. And yeah, so long story short, 15 to 20 first dates and um, triple digits worth of matches, and all but one of those girls ended up being more than just a first date. So 14 to 19 of those other women that I went on the first date with, I never saw again. And that's because, like, this is the problem with dating apps, okay? You text each other and you get a feel for each other, and it seems like you're meant to be, or not meant to be, but like, that you have a pretty solid connection established here. It seems like you have a lot in common, and that this person could be great. And you meet them in person, and they're like somebody completely different, and they're just like, damn, I really just wasted my time out here. This is the problem, okay? This is why I don't like the fact that society relies so much on dating apps for just overall dating nowadays, because it just does not work, like, at all. This is why, like, meeting somebody in person is so much better, because right then and there you can get a feel for the kind of person they are and whether or not that you'd want to see them more in the future. With dating apps, it's like you text them a bit, you get this false sense for who they really are, and then you meet them and they're entirely different, and you're like, I don't like this person whatsoever. And that happened to me so many times on those first dates. I got there and immediately I wanted to go home. Like, their vibe was just off, wasn't for me. We didn't click. We had nothing in common, and it went nowhere. It was a waste of time. So, I don't know. I feel like that's just typical dating experience for men, but I don't know how it's been for you guys, so maybe it's been different for you. But for me, like, as I've made very clear in the past, like, dating apps are such a waste of time. Like, if you guys can take away one thing from this video, and I mean one thing, if you've never gotten on a dating app before, don't plan on doing so now. It's just a waste of your time. There's just literally no point. You're going to get on for, like, I don't know, a week or two. And you'll get some matches, and you'll talk to them for like a week, and they'll disappear. Because odds are they've found somebody that they think that is much better looking than you. That's how it goes, okay? You'll talk to a woman who's like, they think you're great in the moment, they think you're super hot or whatever, and, they see potential in you, and then, like, a few days later, they'll find somebody who they see more attractive, and then it's just like, it's this endless cycle of getting your hopes up and getting that dopamine rush, because it's, it's easy this way. It's easy dating through dating apps. And, although it's easy, it's also entirely, like, looks-based. It's not personality-based whatsoever. You're swiping on somebody based on how they look like, and that's honestly pretty dehumanizing, if you ask me. And just not right at all, because that honestly literally just encourages hookup culture, which is just incorrect, okay? Like, this is the thing that I don't like about dating apps either, is that, like, it encourages, like, short-term relationships and, like, hookup stuff like that. And I personally think that's morally incorrect. I'm somebody who thinks that if you're not in it to date somebody long-term, you're wasting your time, and you shouldn't be dating at all. And some of you think that's wrong, perhaps. You might think that I'm wrong for that, and that's fine. But personally, I think short-term relationships are just not okay, because it's just wasting time, really, wasting money, and, I feel like both of our times, between myself and the girl I could be talking to who's interested in something like that, I think that, our time and our money is valuable, of course, and I'm not here to just, blow it for a quick, little sesh, if you know what I mean. Little one time stand type deal. No. No, 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 no. That's just not correct. It's morally wrong, if you ask me. So, yeah. That's what I think about it. But that's kind of just getting besides the point here. And yeah. So to sum things up, don't get dating apps, dude. Just don't. Stay away. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Don't pay for a subscription either. Especially don't do that. I did that one time just to see what it was like, and it didn't improve my results, It didn't make things better. It didn't make my chances for a first date go up. Or to see a girl more than a first date, Everything stayed the same. Whatever Hinge or Tinder tells you is going to come with the subscription, and they're like, oh yeah, your results, they're going to be so much better, so much higher, blah blah blah. It's bullshit, dude. It's not the way it goes. It doesn't improve anything. It's just full of lies. So, don't waste your time. Don't ever pay for a subscription on any of those sites. Please, dear God, never do that. It is unbelievably stupid to do that. So, yeah. But I just, I really wanted to get into that today. I really wanted to talk to you guys more about the typical male experience with dating apps. If you're somebody who hasn't been on them before, this should be your warning right here to stay very far away from them and not consider them. Just date IRL, get real connection. What else do you want me to say? Go talk to people. Make your life better. Please. Don't try to date off of social media or dating apps ever, please. But yeah. That's all I got for today. So, take care. Love y'all.